of all time.
Yeah, absolutely. That would have been better here.
That's one of those ones you bring up and people go like, why are you making up this silly thing? You're like, no, it was a real team.
So I taught like a class on StarCraft actually, and one of the first things I showed them to get like a laugh was what they used to wear back in like 2000. Basically,
like shiny.
It was the spacesuits.
Yes.
It was like, well, it's a space game, and it's super futuristic, pig. Like, they're going to be in spacesuits.
Like, I've got a holographic jacket. It's pretty cool. I'm like, is it?
That was good times. That was a long, long time ago, and here we are, like 20 years after Broodor's release and popularity in Korea, and we have the continued domination of Koreans. We have 2 Koreans here fighting it out to actually make it through the round of 24. And one of them fairly likely to make it through the lower bracket as well, whoever loses. We have.
There's just no way he would survive. Like, because he just has no tech, no ling speed. All he could do is put his queens on his ramp. Even walling the front wouldn't do anything because he's got no ranged firepower. So a big gamble of an opening for Impact. And Armani's coming out with some light pressure now, but it's kind of late.
Yeah, if he had made those 12 lings a bit earlier, maybe he's like, wait a second, but it's coming out kind of late. He might still be able to sneak in a couple units. There is a wall at this point with a queen, I suppose, blocking it, but his lair is going to come down at a more normal time, so there's really no access to a kind of a freebie overseer. You're not supposed to really get your overload to the main, and I just look at the minimap as I say that, and there's a flipping overload on the main. Like, did he actually go in and see the lair time? No, the lair's in the natural, but he's obviously seen the lack of third base. He's got to wonder, is this a real slow roach game, or are you tricking me? Because you're right, it's a very popular trick nowadays.
Yeah, it's grown in popularity. These lings are going to try to get in here. The queen with transfuse energies up front, that's a problem. He's not able to pull her back.
That's a big problem.
And there are 3 queens, so there's a definite tax being paid here. And because melee and link speed was here, building Zerglings is not that big of a problem. So, I mean, in the end, you take out a queen, you force some Zerglings. Not a great trade there for Armani at the end of it. Now building more Roaches and more Zerglings. But there's already Mutas on the way. I feel like, tech-wise, Armani is so far behind at Impact. Has just gotten away with a disgustingly greedy opening.
I'm with you there. Like, I think the plan is to maybe just buy time with some units, right? He's actually making a... Oh, because you want to save the Roach. To buy some time, but he is trying to get to Queens. He's going to try and play it, but when you're at this stage, like, this really is quite an early Spire. Like, it snowballs fairly quickly, I feel. It's different when you're already saturated on 3 bases. Spore Crawler is kind of easy to afford. You just decide to go into Hired as opposed to playing a continued Roach game. But this is like a very early one that is going to have the chance to not just be 6 mutas, but very close to 10, and then very quickly to 12 and 14, and whatever Impact really wants to do, and they're going to be upgraded. Armani is going to be here, 4th base, 5th base can be faster. He could just try and even overwhelm with Banelings eventually. I don't think he's actually thrown out a Baneling nest, but he could just go overwhelm with mutas as well and just continue dodging the infestors. It's tricky to be this early up against the ropes and contained. But that is the situation. It's not that Armani's totally out. No, definitely not. But it feels very uncomfortable as Armani's defenses right now.
He's still building queens as well. And I get you do need queens for defense, but I'm starting to wonder if it's going to actually be like a queen roach infested push even. Something really bizarre. Interestingly, Impact has not built up the drone count that fast. Only 61 drones, despite having a lot of freedom, and that's because Impact has been hitting that gas as hard and fast as possible. That's why we've got such a fast +2 melee. We've got +2 flyer attack already on the way for Impact. It's even going to take out a couple of workers and a gas. The bounce damage being fantastic. Just 2 or 3 fungals won't cut it for taking these mutas out. So you really don't want to show your hand with those infestors. You've got to kind of wait till you have 4, 5, 6 fungals ready to chain. Otherwise, those mutas are going to get damaged. Then they're just going to pull out, regenerate, and come back later.
Yeah, he will have a decent number of infestors after Beast Pop, but yeah, he shows his hand with the 3, as you were saying. A little bit of a split, too, from Impact there. Is going to lessen the damage. Another infestor does pop for another good fungal.
One more.
Half of them are going to pop, it looks like. Oh, no, seriously, there's no other infestor coming? Oh, no.
This is exactly what I was talking about. Every Zerg who's gone infestors versus mutas has felt that pain where you're so close to taking them out, but then suddenly it's a lot of energy. You've only taken out a few of them, and Lings just waltz right in. The front door is open. Oh, this is not a quiet, calm village where you can leave your front door open. This is Zerg versus Zerg, Armani, against upgraded Zerglings as well. That is rough.
that's the other equation to the Muta play. The Muta play will say, look over here, I'm the scariest part, and then +2, Lings will come forward and either just slip past your defensors or even sometimes take on your defenses. A couple Hydras, left alone, a couple Roaches, not enough. And Banelings, they are still one-shotting these Lings, but it's very easy for the Mutas to snipe any Banelings that are a bit slower than the rest of the Hourblade.
Oh, those feels when a Ravager is trying to support the Spore Crawlers versus the Mutas. Like, that's the point where you know you're desperate. Landing a Corrosive Pile on Mutas it's a little bit like throwing a pebble at a fighter jet. It just is not going to land.
That's difficult to do, so I've heard. But the Infestors are still alive, so we give credit to the idea of that perfect fungal, but so far Impact's been able to at least lessen the damage here. If all 20 whatever Mutas pop at once, then suddenly that's the comeback. If 5 pop at once, it's like, like Impact's got 4 bases, eventually on a 5 probably, and still has a lot of choices. Like, he still is on only Lings and Mutas, as far as I can tell, but he is ripping apart Armani, so it's working.
Where did they come
There's
from?
the Baneling Nest.
Did they just...
I think they might have they actually just might have waltzed in, to be honest. The Infestors also can't be left alone anywhere because the Lings can surround them. I mean, it's still 3 bases. You'd think you could defend everything on 3 bases. Apparently not. More drones go down.
Yeah, Lurkerton is coming in now. Armani, obviously, Infestors, Lurkers, just going to shut down anything on the ground. If you get enough Hydras as well, going to shut down the air. Impact still only on about 3 and a bit base saturation at 68 workers. So it hasn't really gone to Hive yet. Is now adding Flyer Armor as well as Baneling speed. So it looks like Impact has decided, you know what?
Very soon. It was Baneling's the natural. 17 more drones go down, plus a few more. 21. Mutas are not going to go into that third because there are so many Spore Crawlers, but just continued economic damage. But, it really is not the game I expected from Impact. I really thought he was going to go up to, 80 drones.
Yeah.
And, maybe 5 bases. But he stayed, around 60 for a while, 4, and then now he's up to 70, and he only just recently added on Banelings and Centrifugal Hooks. And he's not even committing to that attack that you were describing, which I thought was still a fair thing to do. But no, now actually he's doing his own potential, Lurkers with his own Hydra on the way. I wonder if that is his intent. Maybe he will play around with Ultras with that Hive. But
yeah, I think it's looking like what you said. Lurkers, probably Vipers coming out, just playing the traditional endgame, which is cool to see that Impact has that flexibility. And I like that it's not a big headbutt, Let's clump up 80 Banelings and roll them into Infestors. No, it's run-bys, it's harassment. And I think finally we're going to see Armani clean one up with almost no damage. Loses a Lurker and a Hydra there for about 15 Banes. Well worth it for Armani, who's just trying to hang on. He's making more Ravages, funnily enough. Not really the unit I would be choosing here. Ravages, of course, just have less hit points, and you're never going to land Bile on Banelings, Mutas, or Zerglings. Maybe just to heal up some low hit point Roaches. Either way, Armani here is playing just...
Armani's starting to branch out into a Nidus Swarm to try and actually get across the map. I do like that play. Can he afford to do it, though? Literally having units not on the front lines as he's being approached. The Mutas take them out, still a big deal. They're over Spore Crawlers, they're over Hydras. The Fungal's working out favorably for him finally, as only a handful escaped to that left side. Then the right side, the Lurkers do encroach on the third base. The Fungals, they do a very tiny amount of damage, but it's just not enough from Impact here. And the Nidus Storm's going up in Impact's main.
Oh my god, that was a bit of a YOLO with those Mutas. They just kind of dived into their doom. Almost all the Mutas are gone. They are being replaced by better units, but that Nidus Swarm, if Lurkers get out in your base, this can turn things upside down very quickly.
Dang, that's not supposed to happen. Impact's like, where did this come from? How am I not just winning this game? He's actually moving across the map, so he can't really afford to come back. All that technology is going to go down. All his reinforcements are going to go down.
He's got to push on the other side.
He's got to.
He's going to commit to it. He's diving into the natural. I'm not sure how many Lurkers were left back at Impact's, at Armani's base. Armani's getting pushed into. He's pushing in here. Impact is going to set up a few Lurkers, but we do need to see the other side of the map as well in the near future. Those Infestors there hanging around. The Hydras have pushed in, but Lurkers come out to defend. Lovely utilization. He pulled some of the offensive Lurkers back. If he can defend this area, Armani might be able to get this.
He's taking a fight directly with Hydras. The Lurkers were a little less involved, but he was up against Roach Hydra, and the Roaches do a great job of actually protecting their Hydra brethren. Looks like the remaining Mutas try to take advantage of maybe not enough Hydras. They maybe took out an Infestor, but not enough.
They did get the Nidus Swarm temporarily, so these Infestors and Hydras are just trying to guard the high ground for a moment. Oh, the Fungal's very good at slowing this down. Needs to get a few Lurkers out. As long as you get at least one Lurker on top of this ramp, I think you're good.
Yeah. I mean, all the technology is already dead, but he can grab the spawning pool and just ensure that nothing ever comes back up into that main base. Impact still has his Roach Warren alive, but he's trying to go up a choke against Fungals and Lurkers.
There's no detection. That Lurker on the right-hand side, Armani hasn't noticed it. He just used all of his Fungals. Ah, he finally did manage to get it with the Lurker splash because another Roach went behind Impact's Lurker and lured a Lurker shot on it, so the splash accidentally killed his own Lurker. A big mistake there. Well, an unfortunate accident, one should say, for Impact, but a lucky turn of events for Armani because that one Lurker on the low ground was doing massive damage to him.
3 bases, that's all Armani has been on for 17 minutes, but he managed to just get a good enough army that never actually maxed out. It was just better, especially with Impact giving away so much supply of those mutas, not being helpful. And now he's completely turned it around. He's trying to go into the natural. The Fungal does help the defense, well, the aggression of Armani in Impact's natural. It's a very weird way to say it. The Hive will go down if that is broken, and I think it is, and that's Impact tapping out. Armani holds on.
Oh. It's a good aggressive build. Going to go for the cancel on the opponent's natural expansion. Get your own expansion up behind it. And for Impact, there's a couple ways you can respond to this. One is to pull workers down, to kind of skirmish with those Zerglings. Just keep attacking them and force them to turn their attention on the drones. Pull back, re-engage, pull back, re-engage. Just buy time until you've got your own Zerglings out. Keep the hatchery alive, and then you're all good. The other one is, of course, to give up the hatchery just to stay in your main base when they pop out.
Yeah, he's not going to get the opportunity also to defend his Spine Crawlers. If one gets up, that's going to be very helpful, but Impact's also getting a Spine Crawler. He wants to cancel at least 2 of these. He's taking the engagement on the right side. Drone's been pulled for both parties. 1 Spine Crawler is canceled, not killed. That drone's still in the fight.
A lot of Lings from Impact have been surrounded and shut down quickly here. That's a lot of his damage output, and as these 2 Spines get close to finishing here, even though there's a Queen, this is so close. This could go either way. The drone's going back and forwards. The Spine Crawler coming down. That Queen pulls back. She barely survives on red hit points and then turns back into the fight. One of the Spine Crawlers microed by Armani to take it down. The Spine Crawler of Impact falls as well. 2 Spines still standing. Another Ling traps the Queen. But no, the drones come back, save the Queen. And that is still 10 workers for Impact, only 4 for Armani.
This is so crazy. It's not the first time we've seen something like this happen, but dang, I did not expect it. More Lings are on the way, but Armani can really only afford so many. He also will not have a Queen for injects, not that he'd ever have enough minerals to even use it. And the Spine Crawler is going to try and make its way down the natural. It's going to be really tough. A body block with the drones and the Queen. It can't root off of creep, guys. It needs to get on a creep. It actually does get on a creep as the drones are pulled to deal with the Lings. Just a few Lings at a time here from Armani is allowing the Spine Crawler access to the natural. The Lings do die, but the Spine Crawler can't do it.
Just too much lost mining time there for Impact. He wasn't able to keep up Ling production during all that. Even loses the spawning pool, which means no more ability to build Zerglings. And that Spine Crawler, 2 armor, 25 damage a shot. And Armani, after a huge turnaround in game 1, is going to just sneak a quick series there. Oh my lord.
I absolutely love it. The fact that he was just so relieved about that last game. I just feel like in his mind he was like, this is a different game I thought I was going to have.
He's like, well,
I got the chance.
Lady Luck is on my side today.
Right?
Let's take it for all it's worth.
Absolutely. Go to the casino after this, man. Like, it's going to work out great for you. That was sick. That was also, I mean, a tiny bit of an upset. Historically, Impact has been a slightly better player, but Armani, I mean, he's proving that they are actually relatively close, and he's proving that he can carry momentum, that's for sure. So he's advancing on to the round of 24, wishing Impact good luck in the lower bracket.
That is a rough turn of events there for this young man. But you know what? In the end, that patience, that determination, Armani does go through to the next round. Guys, we'll be right back with the Intel Extreme Masters Katowice in just a moment.